A very good evening to all. I, CA Moshmi Shah, Managing Committee Member, Pune Branch, welcome you all in the webinar on Code of Ethics organized by ICAI. Today, we'll be covering Code of Ethics important aspects as well as information on CA Connect portal. We have with us CA Sushil Kumar Goyal, sir, Vice Chairman, Ethical Standard Boards, to share his thought with us. I request everyone to please welcome him. He's a council member of ICAI, currently the chairman of GST and Indirect Tax Committee, a deputy convener of Publication and CDS Directorate, and vice chairman of Ethical Standards Board. Welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you, Moshmi, for kind words. I welcome CA Commissioner Shoni, CA Chandrasekhar Chitle, Council Member. One is from Indore, another is from Pune, all you know. And learned speaker in today's program, CA Sweta Jain. She is also a regional council member from Western region. And CA Sarad Waze. And CA Chintan Patel is about to join us. Today's program is designed to inform our members about the CA Connect portal, which is an initiative taken by ICAI for the members to develop their practice, to connect with the professionals as well as outside world or business world for the professional opportunities. So CA Connect is a good portal looked after by Chairman ESB, CA Chandrasekhar Chitle sir. He is going to deliberate on that. Then we have changes in NACLAR fees relative size and taxation services to audit clients. That will be handled by Sweta Jainji. New CA logo and cases of professional misconduct will be dealt by CA Sarad Vazesa. An important decision will be handled by CA Chintan Patel, and all you know, the program is getting moderated by Moshmi Shah. I welcome all of you and wishing all of you, you will have a wonderful learning session and you will definitely come to know new things, how you can publicize your profession without violating the norms of ICAI, that is the advertisement guideline. Without going into that, how CA Connect portal can help you to publicize your area of work. It is have a facility, Chitle sir will tell you in detail. It has a facility that you can say where you are having your professional practice and which area you specialized or you want to serve in the area. These are informations are available in the portal. So wishing all of you a happy learning time. This is a 2-hour program and definitely all of you will have a wonderful interactive session also. So I think our viewers are aware about this fact that you can type your questions and it will be visible to the faculties who is taking the session and definitely they will try to answer your queries. Thank you very much. Once again, back to Moshmi for moderation of the program.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for taking out time and being here for the welcome address. Absolutely grateful. Now we also have with us CA Khemshi Soni to give the opening remarks. She is the chairperson of Committee of Public and Government Financial Management of ICAI, vice chairman of FRRB ICAI, vice chairman of Audit Committee of ICAI, independent director on the board of Extensive Business Reporting India. I welcome Madam. Over to you, madam.
Yeah, before Kemisha, I would like to add about Kemisha. She is our permanent guide for ethical standards of ethics. She had been on ethical standards for quite a long time, maybe about 7-8 years, either as a chairman, as a vice chairman. And for all this period, she is also guiding the or taking institute's view to the international forum on ISBA, of which she is the technical advisor. And also today we are discussing about this CA Connect portal. This particular CA, thought of CA Connect portal was conceived during the time when Kemisha was heading this committee, and thereafter the committee, considering the great idea, has taken it forward. So we are indeed very happy that Kemisha tells the peace of mind behind this CA Connect portal, and all of us are delighted with that. Over to you, Kemisha.
Thank you, Chairman, Ethical Standard Board, Chitleji, Vice Chairman, Sushilji, and thank you for your words of appreciation regarding my work at Ethical Standard Board. And thank you, Mosmi, for introductory remark about me. And I heartily welcome the dignitaries and participants on today's webinar on Code of Ethics, important aspects. During this webinar, speakers will discuss on changes in NOCLAR, fees, relative size, and taxation service to audit clients, and also about new CA logo and cases of professional misconduct, then important decision of Ethical Standards Board, and about, of course, important search engine portal, CA Connect portal. So the existing edition of Code of Ethics was issued and made applicable, as you all are aware about that, 1st July 20. With the execution of a certain exception of certain provisions pertaining to non-compliance with law and regulations, fees, relative size, and taxation service of Volume 1 of Code of Ethics. So this is the first edition of the Code of Ethics to be segregated into 3 volumes, 1, 2, 3. While 1 and 2 represent the revised counterpart respectively of Part A and B of Code of Ethics, and Volume 3 as present, the status is that about the case laws referencer. So Volume 1 of Code of Ethics is conversed with ISBA Code of Ethics 18 edition. And at present status is that we have to revise up to the 23 also. So that is already started and already due this process of revision. Again, we will see revision of new revised Code of Ethics as per our International Code of Ethics. And about Volume 2 of the 12th edition is based on domestic provision governing the chartered accountants. This complements the Volume 1 and make a complete reading. So the provision pertaining to NOCLAR, fees, related size, and tax service to audit clients deferred earlier have been made applicable with effect from October 22, with certain amendments through announcement also. People may go through that announcement also, I will say. And it may be noteworthy that ISBA has come up with subsequent edition of the Code of Ethics. Ethical Standard Board is in the process of converting Volume 1 of Code of Ethics based on ISBA 22. What I was saying that. So the revision include the guidance regarding enhanced independence requirement for member or firm while providing services to audit clients specifically, and the compliance provisions for providing services to public interest entity will also be strengthened. In revised Code of Ethics, I would say they have already added like independence standard for audit and assurance function, that is separate, totally separate one chapter related to that, 4A. So like that, sustainability reporting standard and assurance work also incorporated at international level. So new phase will be that in our Code of Ethics, definitely we will work on that related to sustainability reporting standard and assurance work. Before discussions regarding about the Code of Ethics, just I will give my 4-5 minutes regarding how we can implement our ethical standard in our day-to-day life. So we will discuss what are the differences between the 2 volumes and how will this be applicable. So if you understand these basic things, you will be able to apply this code in very effective manner, and also you will get answer of all ethical issues. You will not go for the any questions and issues related to our day-to-day life to the Ethical Standard Board. Even you can also answer of that ethical issues. Number 1, applicability of Volume 1, which is based on self-check and self-regulatory nature. The code is principle-based, and entire Volume 1, professional accountant or chartered accountant are required to comply with the fundamental 5 principles and apply the conceptual framework for entire our assignments and work related to that. And volume 2 is a clear guideline, guidance, do's and don'ts, and other related provisions are there. Second point, if there are different provisions related to auditor appointments, qualification, disqualification, indebtedness, definition of relative, auditor rotation, management consultancy services, etc., are according to that. Generally, these type of provision under which the audit is being conducted shall prevail. For example, you are doing audit under Companies Act, you will have to follow that Companies Act provision related to these aspects. And also, for example, if you are doing bank audit, you will have to consider RBI Act and Regulation, Banking Act and Regulation. Number 3, before taking any assignment, just please bifurcate nature of assignment or work, that is the difference between audit, assurance, non-assurance, certification, management function, etc. And according to that, the relevant provisions will be applicable. Then fourth point, to whom you are providing your services, whether your client is individual, proprietorship, firms, trust, company, or most important, public interest entity, and about the KYC also. So just you have to check that. Number 5, there are certain provisions which impact both volume 1 and 2 of the Code of Ethics. So we have made, and even we have made changes to align those provisions. There are certain provisions prohibited as per our volume 2, clear-cut provisions, prohibitions are there. However, we have to check such certain provisions with regulatory framework of the volume 1. When we look at such provision based on such situation, we should always check the provision by correlating both the volumes of the Code of Ethics. Because for example, in volume 1, certain that indebtedness provision, there is even single rupees, depend on materiality concepts are there. But in our cases, we have certain fix up certain monetary like limitation, 5 lakh, 5 lakh, 1 lakh, like that. So we have to correlate both the volume 1 and 2. And number 6, during a continued audit, if we are continued auditor of any firm or company, we face or get aware with certain points or threats. For example, if I am doing audit of company and next year maybe my brother or sister are independent director in that company, so we have to check according to like that ethical requirement, according to our in our current assignment also. We should keep a check on the volume 1 provision to ensure there is no violation of provision of the said code. Then finally, sometime legally permissible but ethically not. In that case, suggestion is we should go for ethical. So whenever members are confronted with 2 interpretation on a matter relating to professional conduct, one ethical and one other legalistic, so they would adopt a stricter interpretation than the more liberal one, even though the latter may be perfectly legal. So even just about the revised Code of Ethics regarding volume 2, members' attention is also invited to the amendment in Chartered Accountant Act 1949, brought wide the CA, CWA, CS Amendment Act 22. The amendments in CA Act brought significant amendments to the Schedule of Act. So I'm not giving a detailed example of that specifically in part 1, clause 9, then clause 5 for part 2 of second schedule, specifically related to Companies Act provisions, section 139, 140, section 141. Certain provisions already changed according to the changes in the Companies Act. And few amendment brought wide CA Amendment Act 22, it yet to be notified by the government. This also includes some changes in schedules, which will be discussed later on. So now about the CA Connect portal. So popularization of CA Connect portal is appreciated, and this project is very close to my heart. Council 20 decided that there should be a search engine portal for firms of chartered accountant which can register themselves voluntarily on a common platform, and it may be facilitated by Ethical Standard Board. And I was chairperson of ESB in 2020. At that time, COVID-19 was its peak. And it is felt that modes of dissemination of information available on internet owned by various third parties which do not operate as per requirement and regulation of Ethical Standard Board. For example, listing on aggregator-based website that all are not permissible, and it is not permissible for member to list themselves with online application-based service provider aggregators, wherein other category like businessman, engineer, technician, maintenance worker, event organizer, etc. are also listed. So certain prohibition and restriction are there, and network other than those registered with ICI, just for the namesake, just for the example, I'm giving that name, Urban Clap, maybe BNI, so many other aggregator providers this are there in market. So according to our ethical requirement, that is some extent that all are prohibited. So there are, according to violative, is many ways, such as mentioning client name. Other violations are also there. Just I'm giving example of that: fees, charges, rating, testimonial, facilitate like aggregator, that type of certain things are there. So the matter was accordingly placed at the meeting of the Ethical Standard Board, wherein it was decided that a study group will be constituted to consider the issue, and the group was constituted under the convenership of present our President Aniket Talati. He was then convener of that group. And then the search engine portal was named CA Connect Portal and was launched at the annual function of Institute on 9 February 21. So this is the entire story of this CA Connect portal. And I'm really grateful to our chairman Chitleji and vice chairman Sushil Goyalji that they have taken again the CA Connect portal for the I would say that the marketing and popularization of this portal. And really, this is amazing. This portal we advertise on behalf of our chartered accountant also. So this is some input on related to this present situation and scenario of our code of ethics. And I would again thanks to our chairman and vice chairman for inviting me and giving me this chance to interact members of our this webinar. So thank you very much, and over to our moderator.
Thank you so much, Kimshi Madam. And absolutely very correctly said that wherever the legal view says yes, but ethics say no, we have to go in for the no. Absolutely well said. Thank you so much again. And now we have with us our respected Central Council member, CACV Chitle Sir, Chairman of Ethical Standard Boards, to talk to us on CA Connect portal, its objective, features, and benefits as well. CA Chandrasekhar Chitle Sir is a Central Council member since 2019, currently the Chairman of Ethical Standard Boards, was the Chairman of Direct Tax Committee in the year 2023, Peer Review Board Chairman 2023. He's a member of Executive and was nominated for Cost Accounting Standard Board's ICMA. He was also chairman of Pune branch of ICAI. And over to you.
Thank you, Mosumi. Before I start, let me once again thank Kimisha for joining in this webcast and discussing the background of code of ethics, the law, the ethics. If there is clash, the ethics should prevail, and of course, the CA Connect portal, which was created under his leadership. Considering the immense utility of this particular concept of CA Connect portal, the Ethical Standards Board this year decided that we should awaken the members, tell them to register
Voice is not audible.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
advertise.
I think some issues.
Sir, you are on mute,
The
sir.
chartered accountants on their own about their services, they cannot solicit the clientele. So what is the via media? So the prohibition is applicable to chartered accountants in practice and not to the institute. So institute will advertise the services rendered by chartered accountants, and the chartered accountants who are available for rendering these services to the prospective stakeholders can be selected by those service seekers from CA Connect portal. So first step is gaining adequate population on the CA Connect portal, because if the CA Connect portal has got minuscule presence, then in that case, the prospective clients visiting the CA Connect portal would be of the view that this is not a representative portal, or the chartered accountants who are enrolled are not adequate in number, so they may look elsewhere for the purpose of engaging chartered accountants. So first, let us have maximum population on this particular sector, maximum enrollment. So we have appealed all the regional councils, all branches to have enlightenment amongst the members and see that they get themselves registered. We are not charging anything for the purpose of registration. And we said that, okay, till 31st of December, there would be no charge for registration, no charge for renewal. But considering that this 31st December is last day for certain tax matters and members are occupied, maybe regional councils, branches could not hold much seminar and such sessions. So now this particular deadline has been extended to 7th of January. So till 7th of January, this registration on the portal as well as any continuation thereof would be free of cost. And subsequently, the meeting which will be held in second or third week of January will decide whether we should charge or otherwise. But presently, till 7th of January, certainly there would not be any charge for registration. So with this brief background, let me turn on to the presentation. In the meanwhile, I also recognize presence of our Vice Chairman Sushil Goyal sir, Shweta Jain, Sharad Vaze, and Chintan Patel, who are going to address us on various topics. The initiative of ethics and recently in Gandhinagar, the institute conducted domestic as well international chartered accountants participated, at which Honorable Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankarji made a point that ethics is not negotiable, non-negotiable. Ethics is the way forward and essential to chartered accountants profession. So that way, the importance of ethics was underlined by Honorable Vice President of India, who is also a professional as a and he has been a High Court lawyer before becoming Vice President or Rajyapal of one state. So we have three clauses in Code of Ethics: Clause 5, Clause 6, and Clause 7. So it says that if any professional work is obtained through advertisement, that is not possible. You cannot solicit the clientele. So small and medium firms face a partner challenge that listing on aggregator sites is prohibited in Code of Ethics. Market-based listing sites is not in conformity with the Code of Ethics. So small and medium firms, how they shall showcase themselves, how they shall reach out. An existing firm which wants to open other town, other location, there also they cannot address. So even for existing firms also it is a challenge to make their presence when they open at various cities. So how to overcome this challenge? And the Ethical Standards Board has come out with a concept of CA Connect portal in order to overcome these limitations of showcasing the capabilities by the small and medium firms. Of course, it is applicable to all firms, not necessarily small and medium. So this CA Connect portal is initiative of Ethical Standards Board. As you are aware, ICI is a statutory body which will have a search engine portal for listing platform for practicing members, where members can list themselves so that they can make themselves known to the stakeholders. The stakeholders may be twofold. One is the prospective clients and the other chartered accountants who are open for networking. And this CA Connect portal is regulated by Ethical Standards Board, and it is open for chartered accountants in practice. The objective of CA Connect portal are threefold. And the object of this portal is to provide an effective platform for listing of individual practitioners, firms of chartered accountants. Secondly, CA Connect portal will enable the chartered accountants to be connected and get engaged professionally across the globe, and provide a bridge between the prospective clients or service seekers and chartered accountants. On the other hand, also for the purpose of networking, this CA Connect portal can be made use of by the chartered accountants. As you are aware, after the ICI conducted World Congress, the brand Chartered Accountant from India has been in recognition worldwide, and many chartered accountants and service seekers from across the globe are seeking services of chartered accountants. So, as far as global clients are concerned, to them also the through CA Connect portal one can reach, because as planned by the Ethical Standards Board, initially we can popularize this portal amongst the persons who are willing to give services or assignments to chartered accountants domestically, and we will advertise internationally, so that there also a chartered accountant can stand to chance of having visibility and getting some assignments. So you have this opportunity to showcase your firm to the prospective clients in India and outside India. The stakeholder advantages: the prospective clients or service seekers can connect to the can conveniently search the chartered accountants for desired assignments. Confidentiality and privacy of client information is ensured by this portal, and level playing ground is available to all practicing chartered accountants, because we are not discriminating between one chartered accountant and the other. All are entitled to register. So level playing ground is available, and ineligible person cannot register on this particular CA Connect portal. So who are ineligible? We will come later on. So to recapitulate, this is a user-friendly interface. One can navigate effortlessly through the CA Connect portal. An intuitive interface is designed to enhance the productivity and ease of use. The criteria of search are twofold. One is city-wise location of a chartered accountant's office, and service-wise nature of services offered by chartered accountants. So the prospective job seeker, if he wants to locate chartered accountant at a particular place, maybe at Pune, maybe Ahmedabad, Indore, wherever, Kolkata, so he has to select two variables. One is the city in which he is desirous of having services from a chartered accountant, and what service he requires, whether he requires service of GST or project finance or maybe insolvency, bankruptcy, what type of service he requires, that he has to put. Once these two variables are put, then all the chartered accountants who are listed in a given city, and for the purpose of offering the services which the prospective client wants, list of them will appear on the screen, and that will enable the prospective service seeker to give assignments to those chartered accountants after having interaction with them. As enrollment on this particular CA portal is concerned, it is very easy. Proprietor, firm or LLP of chartered accountants can enroll. For proprietor or individual practitioner, he has to state membership number and date of birth. Then he will be logged in the portal. Or the LLP or partnership firm has to state firm registration number and the date of constitution. With these two variables being matched with the SSP data, they will be allowed access to the portal. After successful verification of membership number or FRN, a pre-filled form shall appear for further filling up. So you'll have to state the name of partners, the services you want to provide, etc. And additional optional information also you can fill it. That is area of specialization, uh, place of operations, website address, social media, proprietor partner details, and a declaration is to be given that whatever inputs are given in this particular portal by the chartered accountant or the CA firm are true and genuine, so that nobody is misled by whatever information that is available on CA Connect portal. As far as enrollment is concerned, sole proprietor or member, he can select maximum 2 areas of specialization, and for partnership firm or limited liability partnership, they can select 2 areas of specialization per partner. So supposing in case of a proprietary firm, it is rendering services of GST, then income direct taxes, auditing, financial services, maybe computerization. Out of all these book web services, the member can select 2 services and mention it on the portal. So if he selects, say, he is willing to render services in GST and in project finance, those 2 services will appear. The prospective customer hits that those services, either GST or project finance, and the city from where the member is enrolled, then his name will be visible along with all the others whose names who have selected these 2 alternatives. Then in case of partnership firm, 2 areas of specialization per partner. So if you have 3 partners, you can select 6 areas in which you are rendering services. If you have 8 partners, you can select 6 areas. Preferred city, 1 city or maximum 2 cities can be selected by chartered accountant. In case of partnership, they can select cities where their offices exist. Then who cannot enroll? So members not holding certificate of practice, they cannot enroll, because obviously they will not be in a position to accept the assignment for of COP. Then there are networks of chartered accountant firms. So those network also are not allowed to enroll. And with ICI, there is a corporate form of practice which is allowed by chartered accountant, by the Ethical Standards Board, by council, particularly for management services. So those companies also cannot be enrolled on this particular portal. Presently, certain facilities of showcasing the capabilities are available to the chartered accountants. That is, firm can have its own website, listing on direct to the by the Ethical Standards Board, advertisement of services based on clause 7 of the schedule 1 part 1. So these are the things which are there. Online consultancy on third party platforms is also permissible. So all these facilities which are available to the practicing members are continued, and this CA Connect portal is an additional facility. It is not in substitution of these facilities, but one more addition. So what is role of ICI in CA Connect portal? So ICI is acting as a facilitator. It shall not enter into any dialogue, discussion with the chartered accountant or the prospective service seeker as to what should be the criteria for selection, what should be the fees, etc. We are only facilitating and providing a platform to both these parties to come together. And ICI enables search of prospective for prospective clients, city-wise and subject-wise. So the prospective client has to select the city and the subject, and name of all the chartered accountants, individuals, proprietors, proprietary firms, partnerships, LLPs will appear on the screen. Of course, this is not also only restricted to prospective job seekers, but even chartered accountants firm can network based on the city and the subject in which the said firm wants to render services. Supposing there is a firm having office in Pune, and it gets some assignments or in, say, Indore or in Kolkata, or its client who is having headquarters in Pune opens some factory in Kolkata or Indore. In that case, he may need a chartered accountant from these 2 cities. Even otherwise, if the firm wants to grow, they will need tie up with various firms of chartered accountants based on the criteria which is decided by partners. That is so they can and get for probable candidates for the purpose of joining the network. So what we are appealing from Ethical Standards Board is this is an innovative pattern for fostering growth and visibility, showcasing capabilities to prospective clients and chartered accountants, and enhance the digital presence. For these three purposes, one will have to register instantaneously on this particular portal. It does not require more than 5 to 10 minutes for the purpose of registration. Still, if anyone finds difficulty, maybe they can connect to the branch or the regional council's staff. We have instructed them to have help desk for the purpose of enrollment, and then the staff will be able to provide the assistance. So this is the site of CA Connect portal. Standard first increase population of and practicing chartered accountants on CA Connect portal. Step 1, which will conclude on 30 December, stated earlier till 7th January, it will continue to be free cost enrollment as well as renewal. And thereafter, the ESB will take a call and charges. Second step that will start in 2024 is the ESB will be widely advertising this particular portal to various media, so that prospective job seekers and the firm of chartered accountants for networking to know that there is a portal called CA Connect, whereby they can get the particular sub chartered accountants with whom they can connect for clients, for the purpose of giving assignments, for CA firms, for connecting, for making network, or even for giving assignments. And in phase 2, we will be going global. Globally, the CA Connect portal will be advertised so that you stand to the chance of having received some assignments from across the globe, any other country, which may be more remunerative. So friends, at Ethical Standard Board, we welcome you to enroll to CA Connect portal. We have already requested all branch managing committees and regional council managing committees to hold specified day, week for the purpose of this CA Connect, so that the population on this CA Connect portal grows. And once there is adequate population, I think the prospective job seekers search for accounts on the portal. Is free of cost till 31st December 2023, but some representations were received from a regional council, and now this is extended to 7th 2024. So by 7th of January, continue registration. So thank you for your check, and I'm sure that you will be must have received adequate information about the CA Connect portal through this presentation. Of course, if there is still any aspect that you want me to elucidate, certainly we will do so. And for this, either you can write in chat box so that maybe at the end office will clarify the queries, or you can write to us at the email ID ESB, that is Ethical Standards Board @ICAI.in. So friend, this particular session was particularly for the purpose of popularizing amongst chartered accountants the CA Connect portal and enabling the population growth on this particular CA Connect portal. Once the number is adequate, it substantially increases. Certainly, the prospective job seekers will reach out to CA Connect portal whenever need of chartered accountant service arises, or even now there are many firms from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, and metros who want to expand. So, for the purpose of expansion, they will also find a suitable firm on CA Connect portal, and they can take forward their plans for the purpose of networking, expansion, maybe joining, making big partnership. So, this all will be available in this information will be available ethically on CA Connect portal. So I'm sure that everybody, every chartered accountant in practice and firm will take advantage of this particular facility made available by the Ethical Standards Board. So I thank all of you for patient hearing and thank you very much. Over to you, Oshmi.
So sincere gratitude for your information about the CA Connect portal. And I truly appreciate the time and effort that you've invested in sharing the knowledge. And I'm confident that your guidance will help the participants in successfully utilizing the CA Connect portal effectively. And by 7th of January, we'll be having many chartered accountants registered on the portal. Thank you so much, sir. Let me remind the participants here that in case if you have any query, please put it on the chat box so that we'll definitely try to answer it during the session itself. Now we move on to the next topic and the next speaker. The next topic is changes in NOCLAR fees, relative size, and taxation services to audit clients by CA Shweta Jain. CA Shweta Jain, madam, is a BCom and a chartered accountant, is also qualified as a diploma in information system audit and diploma in IFRS. She was the secretary of WRC of ICI from 22-23 and currently she is a chairman of ethical standards boards at WRC, chairman of digital accounting standards boards at WRC, and chairman of committee of social audits and sustainability reporting. I warmly welcome Shweta madam. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maushmi, for kind words. And at the outset, let me thank to chairman of this committee, Ethical Standard Board of ICI, CB Chitle sir, and vice chairman of this board, Sushil Goel sir, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with the members. So today, I'm going to cover three important changes. First is NOCLAR, then taxation services and fees related size. So this sections was deferred earlier when new code of ethics has been introduced and it has made applicable from 1st October 2022. So the first piece is responding to the non-compliances with laws and regulation. It provides guidance to chartered accountant on how to respond when we become aware of potential non-compliances by our clients or employee of the clients with some laws, regulations which is applicable to them. So it may sound little complex term, but it's a core. So it's about our ethical responsibility which we carry. We are trusted professional who holds a significant role in the financial world. So whenever we suspect or become aware of NOCLAR, we are required to approach the situation with what we call as professional skepticism. It's about asking the right questions, being critical, and not just accepting things at the face value. So we have to go in detail and we'll try to find out the fact, of course, within our professional skepticism. So we discover something that client or employee of the client is not complying with laws. So it is our duty to report it and we have to see the larger interest, how public interest is protected. So let's discuss about sections one by one. Give me a minute to share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are the changes, major changes in volume 1. First, which I was talking about non-compliances with laws and regulation. It refers to any act of omission or commission committed by a client or employer contrary to prevailing laws and regulation, which means if company is violating or non-complying of certain laws and regulation which is applicable to the company, and you become aware during the services of your professional services, and then within this period, if you become aware that company is non-compliant with certain rules and regulation. So in such situation, you cannot turn a blind eye to the matter. You cannot presume that it is not covering, or it is not covers the act under which I'm auditing. So which means other than the act which you are not auditing, and you become an aware of the fact that company is non-compliant, so you cannot turn a blind eye, which means you have to report it. So let's see, this section is applicability. This section is applicable, currently it is a limited application. It is not applicable to all the chartered accountant. So first, it is applicable only to the listed companies, entities having net worth of 250 crores or more, which means the chartered accountant who is auditor of the listed company, which net worth is more than 250 crores. So this section is applicable to particular that chartered accountant. And this is applicable only for the audit assignment, which means if you are giving us services other than audit, even to the listed company, then this section is not applicable to you. And then third is, first time, this section is made applicable for members in industry also and members in practice also. In members in service, chartered accountant who are who called as a senior professional accountant. So this section is applicable to them as of now. So which means it is not applicable for all the chartered accountants who are working in the listed company or any other company. So senior professional accountant, the term we generally we call is a KMPs, key managerial person. So the person who is working in the company as a CFO, CEO, or some decision makers. So this section is applicable to them only. Next is scope of laws and regulation. What is covering by this section? The first is law and regulation that have a nexus to professional accountant, professional training and expertise, which means if you become an aware of any non-compliances, and you can find the fact with your professional training and expertise during the, which we called as professional skepticism, if we could find out, then definitely the matter is covering by this NOCLAR section. Second, that law and regulation that have a direct effect on the determination of material impact, just a minute. Material amount and disclosure in the financial statement, which means the matter who is affecting of my financials, then definitely it is going to cover under this NOCLAR, which means I have to report it. Third is other laws and regulation, compliances with which may be fundamental to the entity's business and operation, or to avoid material penalties. If it is so, then definitely this section is covering that non-compliances. Example here is given of laws and regulations required to be addresses are under this sections. So section 360 is for members in practice, and section 260 talks about members in service. So under section 360, if you become aware that your client or in company, there some activities is going on which is related to fraud, corruption or bribery, and you become aware. Then second activity is related to money laundering activities. If you find something in the company, some activities related to terrorist financing and proceed of crime, or maybe some securities market and trading related something it is there, banking and other financial product and services, data protection, tax and pension liabilities and payments, environmental protection, public health and safety. So which means if you come across such situation that in your company, there is some non-compliances or some activity is going on in the company, which is fundamentally, which is against of the fundamentals of the business, and you become aware, then definitely your liability is to report it. You cannot say that this is not coming under the purview of my audit or my section of the Companies Act or something like that. So definitely you have to report it. Some silent points, which means there are some matters which is not included in the NOCLAR. So first is the matter clearly inconsequential, which is not related to the business or the company. So this matter, if you find something like that, so which means this section is not going to cover those matters. Second, if any misconduct, any non-compliances is like of personal nature, maybe can be a personal misconduct of director or relative of director or something like that. So, or unrelated to the business activities of the client or employer. So if it is like that, it is not related to the business, so you don't require to report it. So third, non-compliances other than by the client or employer, which means other than the person who is working with the company. If the person with the working in the company or instruction of the employing organization or any non-compliances is done by the such person, definitely you have to report it. But if the person is someone else, not related, not working under the instruction of the client or employer or employing organization, or this misconduct or some non-compliances is done by some other person. So this section is not covering those people or those non-compliances. Third is a professional accountant is required to address NOCLAR only when and if encounter the same in the course of providing a professional services, which means if you become aware of before providing your professional services or maybe after that, so your liability is not to report it. During the professional services, you become aware that something is going on in the company which is against of the fundamental of the business or some non-compliances related to other law or rules or regulation, but this is applicable to the company and you come across, then only you have to report it. Next is appropriate authority for the purpose of disclosure. Who will be the appropriate authority to report it? See, if examples, if I came to know that there is something is going on in the company and I came to know, so what will be my first step? I need to report it that I know that, but to whom I should report it? First, you should discuss with your reporting authority, maybe CFO or someone who is assisting your process. First, you need to report it, which means you have to you have to communicate with the person, writing, of course. So write a letter or something, communication to your supreme authority, tell them, discuss with them about the matter. If that person is agree to rectify it, no problem, keep the documents with you and you can go ahead. And if the person is not ready to rectify it, then immediately next supreme authority, you have to report it. Maybe BOD or some board members, you need to report with them. Or if that person, same with that, if board members are agree to report it, to rectify it, then no problem. Keep the record with you and you can go ahead. No need to separate reporting is required. But if BOD is also not agree to rectify it, then of course you have to see that who is the affecting authority. If the affecting authority is SEBI, is like in case of fraudulent financial reporting. So which means in that case, you have to report to the SEBI. If the authority is banking, of course, you have to report to the RBI. So it depends on the nature of non-compliances. Accordingly, you have to take the decision who will be the reporting authority. Let's understand more clear with some FAQs, which I have included here in my presentation. So the first question, if we ask ourselves, is like, does section 260 of volume 1 of this code of ethics apply to employee in the chartered accountant firm? Which means we understand that this section is applicable to members in industry and members in practice both. So which means the chartered accountant who is employee in CA firms, like an paid assistant. So this section is applicable to them also or not? So in section 260, as we understand, is like, this is currently it is now is limited application and it is applicable only to the listed company employee, and then to is a senior professional. So which means chartered accountant firms employee, this section is not covering them. So for them under 260, chartered accountant firm employee will not be responsible, will not be liable for that. The second question, does the professional accountant require to respond to act of NOCLAR committed by contractor or agent working for the employing organization or by non-executive director or the employing organization? See, the section is saying the person who is working on the instruction or working under the employing organization or under the instruction of the employing organization, it is covered. And if they've done some non-compliances related to the company and it is affecting my financial, then of course, if the third person is contractor or agent or maybe non-executive director, definitely you have to report it if any non-compliances is done by these people. Do professional accountant require to detect act of NOCLAR within the employing organization? See, this section is covering those non-compliances which you become aware or someone has informed you. Only and only it is your responsibility. So which means I don't require to detect the fraud or detect the non-compliances. If I can find out with my professional expertise and training, which we called as professional skepticism, only and only then I am responsible to report it, which means I don't require to detect the fraud. Are the professional accountant in public practice required to comply with the provision of NOCLAR with regard to all professional assignments? So answer is no. Now it is a limited application. Now it is applicable only to the audit assignment. And then to which is a listed company having net worth of 250 crores or more. Next question is, which law and regulation a professional accountant need to consider determining and assess the implication of the matter, which means which law, which regulation, all the law, all the rules, regulation. So the answer is the which is creating a direct effect on the determination of material amount or disclosure in the client's financial statement. Such non-compliances which is affecting my financials or maybe direct on the face or in disclosure. If it is if it is reported in the disclosure also, then also it is covering under this section. The second is other law and regulation that do not affect a direct effect on the determination of the amount and disclosure in the client's financial statement, but compliances with which might be fundamental to the operating aspect of the client's business, to its ability to continue its business or to avoid material penalty, which means the one law regulation which is directly impacting and other who is not impacting but compliances with which might be a fundamental to the business, then it is covering under this section. So therefore, a professional accountant, when encountering or becoming aware of this NOCLAR, is required to assess the law and regulation that generally have a financial impact, as well as law and regulation that are related to the operation of the audit client. Does this code impose any responsibility on the auditor to rectify, remediate, or mitigate the adverse consequences or identified or suspected NOCLAR, or to deter the commission of NOCLAR? Which means if I become aware of any non-compliances, so do I need to rectify it? Or if any adverse consequences is there, so do I need to try to mitigate those consequences or not? So answer is no. I'm not responsible to rectify it. I just need to report it. Rectification responsibilities is on the management shoulder. We don't require to rectify it. Second, another provision which was deferred earlier and now it is made applicable from October 22, taxation services to your audit client. See, earlier code was silent about it. There was nothing as such written like you cannot provide a taxation services to your audit client. Till now, we are used to provide certain taxation services like ITR filing, GST return filing, TDS return filing. So there were no bar to provide, or no prohibition was there to provide such services to your audit client. But in this new code of ethics, prohibition directly, the answer is not blanket. The answer is yes is also not there, and no is also not there. It is it is leave up to you that you have to evaluate it, that by providing these two activities together, whether I am having any threats or not. So they have bifurcated, classified this taxation services into a 5 parts. First, if we take the example of as like tax return preparation, can I file ITR with the audit services? So usually it presume that there is no threat, because generally ITR we file based on our historical data. Data is provided by the client, and we are just putting the information into the form and filing it. So it seems like we are not doing any correction, not any calculation in the particular ITR. So with this, with the audit services, we can provide these services together. Generally, no threat seems into these services. But the second is tax calculation. If we are doing any calculation at our level and then we are filing it, or if we are providing calculations which is going to be a part of my financials, or we are giving a calculation for the purpose of preparing an accounting entry, definitely there is a self-review threat, because the work done by me, I am again going to check it. So whatever the work I have done earlier, and if I am going to audit on the same and I need to comment on the same, either I will not find any mistake, or if I find so, then I will not highlight it. So threat is there if you are providing any such services. So evaluate it, whether it is creating any threat or not. That threat is material, not material, whether it is at acceptable level or not. And if you find that if it is on acceptable level, I have done the third party review also. If other chartered accountants would have provided it, then also the answer will be the same. And if you are also doing the same provision, so then no problem, you can continue with the services. But of course, you have to evaluate at your own self. Third, the similar concept is applicable while you are providing a tax planning or other tax advisory services. Definitely, self-review threat is there, because if we have given an opinion to our client, maybe tax rate possibly or something like that. So if you have given some opinion, and based on that opinion, they have completed their accounting entries, or they are making part, or they are making financial on that basis, definitely self-review threat is there. So again, you have to check at your level whether it is creating any threat or not, it is on acceptable level or not, and then you can take decision accordingly. Tax services involving valuation. If you are providing a valuation services, of course, if the person is registered valuer, only that person can provide the valuation services if you are holding a COP. So if you are providing valuation services also, so and audit assignments together, definitely there is a threat. You cannot provide these two services together. And if it is a public interest entity, answer is, of course, no, you cannot provide it. Assistance in the resolution of tax disputes. When we represent our client, maybe before authorities, GST authority, income tax authority. So which means we are presenting our client as an advocate in front of the authority. And if that work is done by ourselves only, I have done the audit and I am going to represent my client in front of the authority. So if decision goes against of the assessee, and I am accepting, definitely there is a advocacy threat also and self-review threat also. So you have to see at yourself that what I am doing, whether I'm contradicting my own act or something like that. So it is suggested that please you don't do this activity if you are doing the audit. So if the audit partner audit partner and taxation partner should be different ideally, because threat is there. So how much threat is there, whether it is affecting to you, not affecting, material, immaterial, acceptable level or not, that you have to assess at yourself. So apply proper safeguard, and then you can provide even taxation services to your audit client. If you come to the conclusion that I have no threat simultaneously with the audit services and taxation services, then you can very well continue both the services together. Again, then some FAQs is there, whether auditor can file income tax return. Answer is yes, because there is usually no threat. Whether auditor can provide recommendation to audit client on tax calculation of current and deferred tax. Answer is no, because it is current tax. Again, we need to comment on that, whether the provision was correctly assessed or correctly done by the SSE or not. And the same with the deferred tax also. So we shall not prepare tax calculation of current and deferred tax liability of our audit client. And then it is a public interest entity. However, we can review the same and prepare whatever the client has prepared, if they've given it to you for the review purpose, and if they are asking some advice appropriately, so you can give it to them. But you cannot prepare a calculation. You cannot provide them a perfect calculation for the accounting entry purpose. Can the tax services which involve valuation be provided to your audit client? Answer is no, we cannot perform these two activities together. The third provision, which was again deferred and now made it applicable from October 22, is restriction on fees from a single client. When this section was introduced, it was something else, and now it is completely diluted. And of course, it is in our favor only. So this section is talking something about your total fees, firm's total fees, and their percentage, the threshold percentage. So the section is saying that if your 20% of your total fees in case of public interest entity, and 40% of your total fees in case of non-public interest entity is coming from the single client, single person, so it will be treated as your dependency on the particular client. So if this income 20% or 40% of the audit services, so which means audit fees is coming from a single client, and the percentage is more than 20% or 40% in case of public and non-public interest entity, then it will be treated that your dependency is there on the particular client. And if this dependencies continue for 2 years, consecutive 2 years, so then you have to report it, you have to disclose this dependency to ICAI. There is a format also. So you have to report under the proper format to the ICAI in the 3rd financial year. But there is some exemption also in this section. If your total fees, firm's total fees does not exceed 20 lakh rupees, then this section is not applicable to you. Then second, no such threshold ceiling on the total fees would be applicable in the case of audit of government companies, public undertakings, nationalized bank, public financial institutions or government appointments or some regulators. Which means if I'm receiving 40% from the nationalized bank of my total fees, then also I don't need to report it. So any fees which I'm receiving from this exempted entities, government companies and public financial institutes, so if I'm receiving from the exempted entities, I need not to report it. Let's understand more from some FAQs, whether audit fees and other ancillary fees received from the subsidiary company of the audit client will be included in the total fees from the client for determining the threshold percentage. So this section is saying something. You have to see the gross group while calculating the threshold percentage, which means if you are an auditor of the holding company and you are receiving maybe audit fees or other ancillary fees from the subsidiary also. So then while calculating of 20% and 40%, it will be clubbed. So group you have to see it. And for if the group total is more than 20 and 40%, of course, you have to report it. Is there a particular method a firm should use to determine fees received from an audit client? Yes, there is a fees received from the audit client as appearing in the books of accounts of the firm for the financial year will be taken into the accounts. So particular financial year fees received from the single client, I have to see. So if threshold percentage continue to exceed for 2 years, so when the disclosure shall be made to the ICIs, as I explained, is third year before 31st of December. So first financial year, then second financial year, if consecutive 2 financial year, I am crossing the threshold, then in third financial year, I need to report to the ICI. Whether the disclosure should be made even if there could be a possibility that the third year, the threshold may not be breached. Answer is yes, because you have crossed 2 consecutive years. So your responsibility is report into the third financial year. So we will not wait another 2 consecutive year and then we will report it, which means you have to report it even if you are sure that third financial year, I'm not going to cross it. In case where the auditor appointment was made before October 22. Why we are talking about October 22? Because this section is made applicable from October 22. So if my appointment was there before October also, and whether disclosure is required by the firm to the ICI after October, if the firm is required to disclose to the institute as per the provision of fees relative size. So answer is yes, because this provision is applicable from the audit of financial statement for the period beginning on the 1st October 22. So the firm is required to disclose the fact to the ICI if the threshold percentage exceeded the prescribed threshold for the 2 consecutive year and the appointment of auditor was made after October 22. So thus, in such case, firm is not required to disclose the fact to the institute. Is there any format? Yes, there is a format. It is there on the Ethical Standard Board website also. So what further action is required in case of dependents continue for another 2 years after reporting the institute? So answer is every year I need to report it. So I tried to cover all the major changes which was there and the section was deferred earlier and now applicable. I hope you got something from out of it. I can end my talk with this ignorance about applicable code of ethics definitely can put you in trouble and you will be liable for the DC action whether you are holding COP or not. And if you really want to hold the audit profession, command our audit profession, so of course, ethics, standards, it should be understood, followed, and agreed in a full spirit as applicable by the members. So with this, thank you so much. Patient hearing. If any question answer, I would be happy to answer. Over to you, Moshmi.
Thank you so much, Shweta Madam. Heartfelt thanks for your valuable guidance on the recent changes in Code of Ethics, especially on NOCLAR and fees relative size. I'm sure the audience have got clarity on these concepts. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
I remind the audience again that in case if you have any queries, please do put them in the chat box so that we can answer those as well. Now we have with us our next speaker, CA Sharad Wazir sir, who will be talking on new CA logo and cases of professional misconduct. CA Sharad Wazir sir is a fellow member of ICI and is in practice for the last 41 years. He's a senior partner in Sharad Wazir and Company in Pune. He was a managing committee member of Pune branch of ICI during the year 88 to 91. He has written many articles on taxation, company law, banking, etc., and has made representations before ITAT on tax appeals and also on the councils. He has published weekly lectures on YouTube channels as well. I extend a warm welcome to Sharad Wazir sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Moshmi, for kind welcome. address. Now, I have been given the task of reading this to speak about the new logo for members of ICAI and some cases in digital matters which I had occasion to handle over the years. First one, as you are aware, that we had a logo earlier. All of us were using it for last about 10 years or so, and that has been changed now recently, or it is proposed to be changed technically speaking, because it has been approved by the concerned authorities, and it will take some time for final registration. Now, in that case, the only thing is we are not allowed to use any other logo or any other design to represent the profession. This is the only logo provided by the institute, with earlier green tick and now with 3 colors written below that the word India is there. Now, I have taken this particular aspect over here because while giving lectures on professional ethics, etc., over the years, for last 2-3 months in various branches in Maharashtra, some people have asked me, some members have asked me, can we write below that the word Bharat instead of India? And the views were sought from me whether will it be violation of the logo or not. In my opinion, if you write Bharat instead of the word India, then it will not be in accordance with the logo designed and given by the institute, but it is certainly a violation of the logo provided by the institute, because the members were arguing that it has been so provided in the Indian constitution that India, that is Bharat. I agree that India, that is Bharat, it is a same words or carrying the same meaning. But as I understand, that the design is a registered trademark, so to say, that it has got a particular design, particular features, particular color combinations. So that has been approved. So if the institute also comes out with another logo with a choice to the member that you can write you can have the new logo with the words India or new logo with the words Bharat, then only it will be permissible. Otherwise, simply because India, that is Bharat, provided in the constitution will not help any member, it will amount to violation of the concerned provisions relating to the logo. So this, I wanted to highlight the fact that do not get carried away for something else, and if you write the word Bharat, it may amount to violation because it is a trademark violation and nothing to do with the constitutional provisions, because in trademark registration, a particular design, particular color combination, particular font, everything is been provided in the trademark registration. And the other one which I was supposed to speak on the misconduct cases that I have occasioned over the last 20 years, and I got tremendous experience on this issue. I'll come out with 2-3 cases which I had occasion to handle with, and which will some caution to the members in profession. Now, especially in case of taxation, we are invariably using softwares. It may be Winman, KDK, Spectrum, and so on and so forth. Now, what has happened in this case, we follow the software blindly without considering the changes that has taken place during the certain year or during the certain period. I'll give a specific example that will make it very clear. Say for an assessment year 1920, there was a loss of 20 lakh rupees which got carried forward for next year. For assessment year 2021, there was also a loss of 10 lakh rupees which got carried forward. And for assessment year 21-22, there was a loss of 4 lakh rupees. Now, if anyone is, or rather, if most of us are using the software, now when we brought forward the data which the software provides, now in that case, in a particular year, for say 21-22, when there was a tax audit, the previous year's data got carried forward as it is. That means 1920 loss brought forward was 20 lakhs, 2021 loss brought forward was 10 lakhs, and current year loss of 4 lakh rupees. But what has happened in the meanwhile? During 1920 to 2021, there was no change in the brought forward loss of 20 lakh rupees. But during 2021, during this financial year, there was an assessment was done in the case of that assessee, and the loss of 20 lakh, which was a returned loss, got reduced to say 10 lakh rupees. So naturally, the brought forward loss for 21-22 should have been for AY 19-20, 10 lakh rupees, for AY 20-21, 10 lakh rupees, and current year loss of 4 lakh rupees. But inadvertently, because we are following the tax software, the losses were brought forward as it is. That means 20 lakh should have been reduced to 10 lakh rupees. That was not done because we relied tremendously on the software, because generally we may forget, but the software that has been developed by various companies or various entities, they do not make any mistake in that. So the losses of 20 lakhs got carried forward even for 21-22. Now in this case, one income tax officer from Bombay filed a complaint with the institute saying that the brought forward losses have not been correctly disclosed in the tax audit report. Mind you, the disciplinary committee has held a concerned chartered accountant guilty of negligence or professional misconduct. The only thing is he was reprimanded and a fine was levied. The only plus point from our side or from my side was that even for the assessment at 21-22, there was a loss of 4 lakh rupees. Just imagine if for assessment at 21-22, if there is a profit of 20 lakh rupees and that 20 lakh rupees profit is fully adjusted against the brought forward loss of 19-20, then it would have been a serious matter and it would have been considered differently by the Honorable Disciplinary Committee. So too much dependence on software, whenever you are using it, kindly take precaution. Even we could not take the advantage at the time of arguing the case that the concerned chartered accountant, the tax auditor, was not aware of the assessment that has been done for assessment in 1920, because the said chartered accountant member was also representing the company before the assessing officer. So he was well aware about the fact that losses were reduced from 20 lakhs to 10 lakh rupees. So that was a serious matter. Had it been adjusted against the current year's profit, otherwise the punishment might have been much more. The second example which I would like to comment upon illustration is regarding the preparation of financial statements. It is said that the Companies Act provides that the balance sheet of financial statements shall be prepared by the management and then to be given to the auditors for the purpose of audit. It is good in theory but rarely followed in practice, especially in case of middle level or other firms other than, we say, that big four companies, where normally the auditors prepare the financial statement, balance sheet, etc., and whatever has been prepared, the board of directors sign it, and then after procedurally the auditor signs it thereafter. Now, what happens in this case? If suppose the balance sheet or financial statements which are prepared in Excel for the financial year ending 31st March 22, what happens normally, which I have experienced with most of the firms, lower middle or middle level firms, where the balance sheet or Excel file for 22 is copied as it is for 23. We delete the comparative figures of 22 and we substitute the 22 figures in the 23rd for the March 23 balance sheet as a comparative figure and insert new figures for the current year, that is 31st March 23. Now, in the process, only the figures are substituted without giving much attention to what is there in the particulars column. In a sense, there might be some changes in the particulars column which were not taken into account, and accordingly, what we call it copy paste, it goes just like that. In one case, it has so happened that in case of one company, the company has issued preference shares, and as per the Companies Act 1956, relevant provisions as per Schedule 6, that whenever preference shares are issued, the terms of issue and the terms of redemption need to be stated in the share capital schedule or may be stated somewhere in the notes to accounts. But because of the copy paste, that means the last year's balance sheet as it is continued for the next year with necessary changes pertaining to that particular year. Now that particular column remained as it is. So the Register of Companies filed a complaint with the institute saying that the particulars of issue of preference shares as well as the redemption of preference shares were not specified as mandated by Schedule 6 to the Companies Act 1956. And in that case, the committee has held a concerned chartered accountant guilty for professional negligence. That means these are the most of the common mistake that has taken place in practice, where we tremendously rely upon the software, or we use the last year's file copied and we make the necessary changes without considering the particulars column, or we do not make the changes that are relevant for the current year, especially in the matters of reporting. Now, there is another case where many times the chartered accountants or the auditors or professionals do too many things in good faith. In a sense, we always believe that the concerned client of ours is working with me, or is my client for last 30-35 years. He will not cheat me, or he will not give wrong information. So based upon that, whatever he says, we many times the professional is tended to accept his explanation or his information, and many times such information is given on the telephone, and it is very likely that it might be misheard or not properly because of this communication, and it gets wrongly reported. I'll give one or two examples on this particular issue, which again I had an occasion to deal with. In one case, the company issued two checks of 25 crores and 8 crores for the machinery and a contractor for construction purposes. 25 crores for machinery supplier and 8 crores for the concerned contractor who was constructing the building. Now, the checks were issued in the month of February in that particular year, and concerned company, which was a listed company, please remember, it was a listed company, obtained a certificate from the chartered accountant auditor that the work in process of 90 crores inclusive of these 33 crores checks. Now, the certificate was issued in the month of June, because at that time the checks had a validity of 6 months, whereas 57 crores were actually incurred. This 33 crores were advance given for machinery and contractor. That is how 90 crores certificate obtained as of 31st March in the month of June. However, when the accounts were finalized in the month of August, now these two checks were not presented by the concerned suppliers, and accordingly the WIP was reduced to 57 crore again. Now, it was a bank, Indian banks to be precisely. That Indian bank manager got confused that as of 31st March, the WIP shows 90 crore and as per certificate, and as of 31st March, the WIP is shown as 57 crore as per the audited balance sheet. Then which one is correct? Because on the basis of certificate obtained in the month of June, the WIP of 90 crore, that means the company had brought in its margin money, and based upon that, the bank has released the funds out of their loan sanction. Now, when the question was raised to the auditor, he implied that the two checks were issued, and I have not considered them whether they have been passed or not, whether they have been cleared by the supplier or not. That means simply the director or the managing director, who was his client for about 35 years, that was the reason given to me while arguing the case, that he was my client for 35 years. I never believed that he will do such practice, that he had issued a check but was never intended to be given to the supplier, and on the basis of this false information given to him over the telephone, he accepted it and he issued a certificate of 90 crores, and thereafter the checks were reversed because they were not given at all. After 6 months, they have got to be reversed, and that's why the WIP was shown at 57 crores. Now, based upon these facts, the Indian bank filed a complaint with the institute, and accordingly, the committee has held him guilty and was answered with punishment, even for a removal of 3 months plus fine. So these are the instances where the small things could have been easily avoided if we take precaution or care, and especially with reference to the clients who are with us for many years. And if you rely on them too much, then the problem may come sooner or later. Now, one more case again I had occasion to deal with, or rather, most of the cases that goes for the professional negligence or misconduct cases, 50% are due to disputes between the directors and about directors or the partners. So if there is a dispute between the directors, one group of directors feel that the auditor is in connivance with the other group, and therefore auditor is always a soft target, and accordingly the complaints are made. Similarly, in case of a partnership firm, again I had an occasion to deal with, in case of a partnership firm, that the partnership deed had provided the balance sheet or financial shall be signed by both the partners. There were only two partners, and the deed provided that it must be signed by both the partners. Whereas the partner has obtained the signature or taken the signature of one partner only, then he prepared the tax audit report and he uploaded the tax audit report. And when the other partner refused to sign it, he filed a complaint that the mandate of the partnership deed that it must be signed by both the partners. Now, when he was arguing the case, he himself had argued the case. I was from the partner's point of view. I was not representing the chartered accountant at that time. He was simply saying that that was 30th September. So, and there was a loss for that purpose. And if I do not upload the tax audit report, the losses would have been lost. Now, on that, a specific question was from the central government nominee on the disciplinary committee, who was the ex-tribunal member as well as one principal CIT from Bombay. They were the central government nominees on the committee. They simply asked the question, it was whose loss? It was not your loss. It was the loss of the partnership firm. If the partners were not careful about their losses or for the tax filing, and if they are not careful about the returns must be filed before due date, otherwise the losses will lapse, then why you should be worried about it? On that count also, the concerned chartered accountant was held guilty. My point of submission is that just we should not act to the only considering the taxation aspects or only to do good for our clients. If the clients themselves are answerable or responsible, we should not go further unnecessarily and invite the trouble. Again, I got one more case is regarding, this is again a unique case. It was a case for financial assessment year 15-16, where chartered accountant signed the tax audit report. It was uploaded, and there were some cash deposits into the proprietary concern of 1 crore 8 lakh rupees. He was a land developer, used to buy land in large parcels, make it into various plots and then sell it. That was his business. And he was doing this business for the most of the times in the rural areas for cash, and whatever cash is being received was deposited. So cash was adequately represented by sales. Now he did the tax audit for assessment year 15-16. But the client was not of the tax auditor, it was the client of some other person. Say we call it normally ITP or tax consultant. Probably because of the non-payment of fees to the tax consultant, nobody attended or represented for the assessment. So assessing officer simply added this 1 crore under 68 of the Income Tax Act, and a huge demand of 1 crore 22 lakh was raised because of that 60% tax rate. Now, even thereafter, the concerned proprietor was not bothered about the tax assessment, about the demand. So the assessing officer issued attachment notices to 5 different bank accounts in Pune. Now, of the 5 banks, 4 banks accepted this attachment, and the 5th bank informed the officer that account number is correct, the name of the account is correct, but PAN is different. So even the officer was shocked. So he called for the KYC, and the KYC, the form was in the name of the proprietor's brother. So proprietor brother had opened the bank account in the name of XYZ Developers, and the cash deposits were being made into that account. The checks were issued by the brother, but the account is reflected in the balance sheet or financial statements of another person. And this particular account was in operations from 2008 to 2015. That means almost for 7 years, the account was in the name of his brother, included in the financial statements of another brother, the concerned auditee. Now, based upon that, the income tax officer filed a complaint with the institute and matter was investigated. We could convince initially that the account was in the name of XYZ developer. The entire bank statements for the entire year were in the name of XYZ developers. The check counter for the check file was also sent, and the checks was saying XYZ developers and below that authorized signatory. That means the name of the proprietor was missing in the statement as well as in the check. So based upon that, the director discipline held that the concerned member is not guilty. However, whenever a director discipline wants to hold it to be not guilty, prima facie guilty, the matter is referred to Board of Discipline, and the Board of Discipline has decided to investigate the matter further. And when it was investigated the matter further, it was argued or it was felt by the committee that the auditor should have informed or should have provided the cash deposit of 1 crore 8 lakh rupees into the bank account in the form of tax audit report. Even in my submission, I made a reference that excepting for 17-18, we had to state the bank cash deposits for specified bank notes. For all other years, there is no provision in the tax audit report that the cash deposit must be disclosed in the tax audit report. But nonetheless, committee has held that this being a extraneous transaction of 1 crore 8 lakh rupees cash deposit should have been reported in the form 3CA or 3CD at appropriate place, even though a specific clause is not there for such inclusion in form 3CD. So my advice henceforth to all the members that who are doing the tax audit, whenever there are cash deposits, even though 3CD is not applicable or there is no provision for 3CD, one must report it in a specific note or as a qualification. Personally, I feel that it is not required because the 3CD is where we have to report only the cash expenses exceeding rupees 20,000 at that time, now rupees 10,000. Beyond that, there is no provision for disclosure of cash deposits. But nonetheless, we have to accept the committee report, and accordingly, I am advising that whenever there are cash deposits which are not normal, which are not reasonable, one should also report it in 3C or 3CD wherever applicable. I think I have got about 4 or 5 cases, and I have been left the time of 6:40 now. If there are any particular cases, any particular issues, I'll be happy to answer that over to me, because at least the next speaker should give 20 minutes to speak upon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vajay sir, especially for clarifying the doubts that the members had, especially regarding the new CA logo. Thank you once again. Thanks a lot. Now we have with us our next speaker for the day, CA Chintan Patel sir, who will be talking on important decisions of ethical standard boards. CA Chintan Patel sir is a FCA, CPA US, CS, ISA, CISA from USA. He's a regional council member for the term 22-25 of WIRC, a past chairman of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICI in the year 17-18. He's a co-author of the book on Quick Guide to IND-AS and ICDS. He's a regular speaker and trainer in various forums in India, Dubai, Muscat, Salalah, etc. He's the chairman of auditing committee of WIRC of ICAI. A warm welcome to you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you so much, CA Moushami, for giving introduction. And I am thankful to my previous speakers for setting the tone of the session. I understand that mine is the last one, and a lot of deliberations has already done. So my thanks to the co-speakers, CA Shweta Jain, CA Sharad Vazir sir, for setting a tone in the right context. And yes, now job is on my shoulder to ensure that the purpose for which we all have been together and touching upon the very, very important decisions of ESB, which are critical for all of the participants. So allow me to share my presentation and then I will take it ahead. Yeah, I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, thank you. Right. So let us look at the decisions, because I understand that we have a very few minutes left, 20 minutes, as Sharad ji mentioned. But yes, we are in this 20 minutes, we are going to talk upon the very important recent decisions. I think we are aware that there is a self-interest threat. The concept of self-interest threat has been discussed for so many times. That means if you are having a loan, or if you've taken a loan from a particular company, you cannot become auditor of that company because you are indebtedness to the company. So if you are indebtedness, then the fundamental principles of independence is not there. So there is a limit set down. Earlier it was of 10,000 rupees. It is now increased to 1 lakh rupees. So criteria and limit of indebtedness are applicable only in case of statutory audit. That means if you are doing internal audit, stock auditor, this particular restriction is not applicable. So you have to be careful where you are a statutory auditor, and in that case, this limit is applicable. Coming to the next important point, because the bank audit is not again going to come in the incoming season in March 2024. Last year also, and every time the bank requires the concurrent auditor or the internal auditor to provide some certification. So for that, ESB has recently decided that concurrent auditor and internal auditor can take assignment only if they are providing the certificate addressed to the management of the company. They cannot provide certificate to the statutory auditor. So we have to be very careful when we issue certificate. The job has been provided, the assignment has been provided by the management to you. So for you, the appointing authority is management, not the statutory auditor. That we have to take care in case if the bank requires you to provide some certificates. Next point is that about the concurrent auditor or internal auditor can neither perform statutory audit of the financial statements of bank branch, nor can certify them as audited financial statements. So these both things are being talked together in ESB, because there has been pressure on sometimes there is some requirement in certain banks about doing that. But we have to ensure that if you are a concurrent auditor or if an internal auditor, you have been appointed by management. So your role should be limited to the management related roles, not to the statutory audit of financial statements. Next point is on about allowing to take license or registrations of investment advisors. There are various chartered accountants who are looking to provide services of advisory for investment. For providing investment advisory services, it is allowed, right? So restriction is not on providing advisory services. However, if you want to provide services of broking, underwriting, portfolio management, and taking agency of control, so these are the services where it is not a independent kind of thing, where the started profession is not so much involved. So where there is a debarrage, you cannot provide this kind of service. However, if you want to be advisor, yes, advisor and registration with SEBI for providing advisory services, it is allowed. No need to issue, no need to worry on that part. Next point is about on compilation engagement. Friends, this is a very, very important point. Why? Because a lot of times the query has been raised regarding can they sign provisional financial statements. So clients approach the CA for signing provisional financial statements. In general, it cannot be signed. However, if you have been provided engagement of compilation under SRS 4410, see, SRS 4410 provides guidance that if you have been appointed by the management to compile and prepare the financials as far as the compliance is concerned, then you can issue a report under SRS 4410. So in some situation where the client requires you to provide provisional financial statements and you follow the procedure which is required under SRS 4410, and thereafter if you issue report, in that case the compilation or provisional is a kind of preparing financial statements. and auditor is reviewing. So if you have been providing compilation engagement SRS 4410 report, then issuance of audit report, they both are in contradictory part, because somebody who has been involved into the preparation cannot be the person as an auditor. It is called self-review threat as far as code of ethics is concerned. So kindly ensure that this should not be happen. Yes, 4410 SRS, you can do it. You can provide a report. However, we will be assuring that there is no such engagement of auditor. Next point is that it is not permissible for a member or firm with the stature of auditor of bank to accept assignment of ASM of a customer of the same bank simultaneously. See, again, ASM is where there are certain large borrowers. The bank wanted to have a monitoring system. So for monitoring of the large borrower, if you have been appointed as a person, then you can be the statutory auditor. So this is again a kind of self-review threat, because if you have been involved into the large stock borrowers as auditor and provide ASM report, and on other side you are providing opinion on financial statements, they both are in contradictions. Therefore, if you are a statutory auditor of the bank, kindly do not accept the assignments of ASM. Next point is about Udyog Aadhaar. Friends, there is no bar of taking registrations in Udyog Aadhaar or a web portal of Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprise. There are a lot of opportunities if you get yourself registered Udyog Aadhaar number, because Udyog Aadhaar is where you can get a number and you are registered as MSME. And MSMED Act, which is applicable for both goods and service provider. A chartered accountant is a service provider. So as a part of chartered service provider, there is no bar on us. We can get registered as a part of Udyog Aadhaar and get the Udyog Aadhaar number. Yes, so basically there is always a discussion on indebtedness, as we discussed in the first slide, that if you are a statutory auditor of a company, indebtedness is definitely applicable. You cannot be auditor. However, if you're internal auditor of the company, in that case, the provisions of indebtedness is not applicable. Same way here also, that if you are internal auditor of company, then you can acquire or purchase shares of the said company. There is no prohibition for internal auditor of the company. Sending WhatsApp messages to the others, sharing that yes, you are providing services, mentioning the service information is not something is allowed, because we have to ensure that as a professionals, when somebody receives a message from CA saying that this is what I'm providing, it is kind of indirect solicitation of the work. So indirect solicitation work is not allowed, plus kindly ensure that this has not been done. Director solicitor, there's a lot of questions and query on can a CA become a director solicitor. See, solicitor means what? For the purpose of compliance of law and regulations, you are director in the company. That means the objective of director in a company is just to ensure that the compliance of law, that means having at least two director, is compliance of law, has been complied with it. So the purpose is not to be involved to operation of the company. The purpose is not to be involved in management of the company, but you remain as a director only for the sake of compliance. That is called director solicitor. For a director solicitor, if you are a director solicitor in a company, then you cannot even sign ROC forms of the company, as it is called a conflict of the role, because a solicitor means only for the sake of compliance. You cannot receive any remunerations. You cannot play any engagement management role in the company. Same way, this particular decision, it has been made clearly that even you can't sign ROC forms, because signing ROC forms means you are also taking the responsibility of certain aspects which is there in the form. That's why that is also not allowed if you are only director solicitor. A chartered accountant in practice can act as authorized representative of foreign company, provided he is not the auditor of the said company. So sometimes like a foreign company who is starting a business in India, they want authorized representative. Yes, you can provide services, you can charge the fees for that. It is permissible for 2 or more CA in practice collectively to have a joint training session. So basically, it was related to GST era where the two firms come together and they have been providing the services of training, and they have been collectively charging fees and also sharing the fees. Now, this kind of mechanism where you want to provide training to your clients by coordinating together, by coming together is allowed, because two CA coming together sharing fees, there's no bar on that part. A CA in practice can provide services through kiosks only if the services provided are professional activities of a practicing CA permitted under the Act. That can be a novel way of providing the services, where you may believe that I can have a small kiosk at my office, and for sorting out certain queries, certain issues, my clients who are coming to my office, they can get services through kiosk. So there is no bar. There is no bar as far as the way of providing service concerned to my clients is concerned. However, you have to ensure that it should not be a tantamount where you are approaching a non-client or you put in certain public places and then it reaches to a solicitation of work. However, if you want to enhance the type of services, called services, and for that, if you are using kiosk, there is no issue on that part. In case of a CA in practice, which is a non-executive director in a company, he or a firm in which he is a partner should not accept the appointment as statutory auditor of the company, which is a joint venture of the original company, as it would be impeding interest, obviously. So if you are a non-executive director of a company, even though it's joint ventures, so director and being an auditor, they both are the same group. That is not acceptable. Even though you can say it is a non-executive, but director itself means you are a part of management. If you are part of management of one group of company, then you cannot be the auditor of other company of the same group. A CA in practice may be an equity research advisor, but he cannot publish detailed report as it would amount to other business occupation. So providing advisory is okay, providing concern is okay, doing research is okay. However, if you have published a report as such, it would be kind of other kind of business occupation. So do not engage into this kind of activities. CA in practice may engage himself as a registration authority for obtaining a digital signature for clients. CA can hold the credit card. This is again one of the very common issues which have been raised by a lot of chartered accountants, that if they are having a credit card of a bank, when he's also auditor of the bank. For example, if I am having credit card of Bank of Baroda, can I accept the branch audit of Bank of Baroda? So it says that yes, you can, if you're holding credit card of a bank where he's also auditor of the bank, provided the outstanding balance of the said card does not exceed 10,000 beyond the prescribed limit period on a credit card given to him. So whatever is my period of making payment to the bank, if I'm making a payment on the due date of the bank, due date of the particular dues, then I have no issues. However, if I'm not making a payment within due date, that means it becomes debt. So the provisions of debt indebtedness, which we discussed earlier, is applicable here in case. So 10,000 rupees earlier limit, now it is 1 lakh rupees. A CA in practice is not permitted to accept audit assignments of a bank in case he has taken loan against fixed deposit held by him in that bank. See, At the end, we are coming to the very, very important thing is that if you are indebtedness, if you are if you have taken a loan from somebody, how can you become auditor? Because just look at the position is different. If you've taken a loan from somebody, you are relying on him, you are relying on his mercy, you are relying on his favor to give loan. And being auditor, you are on other side where you are on a different position to ask questions and clarity, so that both roles cannot be together. The one of the most important critical part pillar of any thing, any work is that being independence. So if the independence has been compromised, then the role cannot be performed well. So that is the more core principles of these decisions. Our chartered accountants cannot exercise lien over the client documents or record for non-payment of his fees. This is again, please keep in mind, sometimes what happens that our fees are genuine fees are pending, so we feel real hurt that why my fees are not paid. In that particular feeling, sometimes we got in a position to exercise lien where we say to client, I will not return your records, you first make me payment of fees. That is not allowed. It is like coercion. It is not the way the professional work. So basically, if we have a genuine fees pending, we have so many other laws and regulations are available where we can exercise other options. But not providing documents records with the warning, with the wording saying that make payment, otherwise not, that is not allowed. It is not a professional approach. It is not permissible for CA firm to print its vision and values behind the visiting cards, as it would result in a solicitation and therefore would be violative of clause. Visiting card, see, as a professionals, we need to abide by certain principles. And whenever the usually just look at all these provisions, I think we are applying the natural principles that as a professional, what is accepted, what is expected by the society. If we are chartered accountant and if I give my visiting card to XYZ person who is a non-CA and I write down that this is what I do, my values are very high, it amounts to that I am soliciting work. So wherever the feeling, wherever the other persons get a feeling that you are trying to solicit work, I think that is something which is not correct, because work is not being received, not allotted. If you solicit, how it has been allotted, or if you get the work based on the credentials, based on the need of the client, not by solicitation. It is not permissible for a chartered accountant in practice to take agencies of UIC, GIC, NSDL. These are the few agencies where you may get some kind of commissions, but however, these are not something where it is allowed. It is permissible for a member in practice to be a settler of trust. No bar on that part. It has been clarified in one of the decisions of ESB. I think, friends, I hope that I'm able to complete at 7 o'clock. That's something which is the time within which we are supposed to complete. And if you have any questions, yes, we all are here. All faculties, including me, Sharadji, and Shita Madam, we three are here. And we will be more than happy to respond to any of questions you are having. Over to the organizers.
Chintan, I've got one query. Can I ask?
Sir, you are you have been dealing this particular matter for so many years.
No,
But
no.
yes, we can definitely have interaction, and it will be
No,
useful
the
to all of
point
us.
is you refer to the direct. No, this is again to start the ball rolling so that there will be queries from others. That is one
Yes,
thing.
yes,
The point is you have said that a director simpliciter cannot get remuneration from the company,
right.
right? So what is the position in case of an independent director?
Yeah, so
They are handsomely paid.
I think the provision made it very clear that you cannot be paid other than sitting fees. So the sitting fees, the word has
Sitting
been
fees,
used.
right. Sitting fees are all right. But as you're
Yes.
aware, as per the Provisions of the Companies Act, they're also getting some 0.5%, 1% commission based upon the profits as provided by the Companies Act.
That is not allowed. So in that case, that is not acceptable as a CA with COP. If you are chartered accountant with the COP holder, then getting some 0.5% of the turnover or fees or profit which you mentioned about in Companies Act 2013, that has not been allowed as a part of practicing CA.
Because we have been allowed with 10 years practice to be an independent director. Earlier, we used to give examination. Now that is also waived.
Correctly. So in that case, I will say that we cannot be having two hats together. ICI is trying to ensure that you should be, if you are a practicing CA, it is very reputed profession. Please stick to your profession. Be honest and try to follow that profession. You will get a handsome money over a long period.
The point is that the professionals will not join the companies as independent directors if they are not going to get anything beyond the sitting fees. Anyhow, fortunately, I'm not an independent director or any board, so the question arises to me. But
no, sir, your point is very well important, and it's really important for all members who are part of the webinar. But
because SEBI is encouraging the professionals should join the board.
Okay, so let me just brief you my thought process on this aspect. The ICI wanted to make it very sure that if you are in practice, then you stick to your practicing rules. If you are CA, doesn't mean that you cannot be independent director. So ICI does not restrict you to be independent director. You can not hold COP, and if you feel independent director and other things where it suits more, fine, you go ahead with that. But being in practice, it requires a lot of onus and responsibility on your shoulder, and for that you should not move to the you cannot have more to this together. That is what I think ICI is trying to do it.
Thank you.
But thank you, sir. Great to see that our ball is rolling and Mosmi is there. Mosmi, any questions?
So I think there's one question, and I think it is related to this NOCLAR and fees relative size, which Shweta ma'am has covered. Ma'am is there?
Yes.
She's there.
And the question was whether the fees received from exempted entity will be included in total fees.
Answer is yes. While calculating the total fees, it will be clubbed. I mean, it's a total fees, total revenue of the firm.
Okay. And one more, how documentation is important and what kind of data we should keep as a documentation in case of NOCLAR?
The documentation in any ways, in case of every audit, it is really important. And if we are talking in case of NOCLAR, so the fact which you identified, you should keep it with you. And then the communication which you have done with the parties, I mean, to the supreme authorities or reporting authorities, that communication you should keep it with you. And then how do you address the matter and what was the course of the action? So till the whole process, it should be documented and it should be with you all the time, especially in case of NOCLAR. So in case of NOCLAR, it is really, really important because whatever the non-compliances, you are going to say that, yes, I have found this non-compliances in particular this company. So first, what are you communicating? How you are communicating with the supreme authority? That is important. That I found something is related to that. What is your take of opinion? What is your reply? And based on their reply, if we satisfied, not satisfied, and what is our course of action? So the whole process, you should keep it with you as a part of documentation.
I'll just add one more thing in this regarding the documentation.
Right.
Because as per the 2007 regulations, complaint can be made against the chartered accountant for 7 years as per regulation 12 of 2007. So at least you should have your preserve your documents for 8 years minimum.
Yes.
True. Correct. We still have a few more questions, but I think we would answer to all those questions on emails. So participants, please do check your emails. The answers would be received by you there. And first and foremost, let me take this opportunity to thank the speaker, CA Chintan Patel, sir, who very aptly covered the important decisions of ethical standard boards. Thank you so much, sir. And I also take this opportunity to thank the chairman and vice chairman of ethical standard boards for having this webinar, which was definitely very, very useful to all the participants. We have 2,000 plus people who have logged in for this seminar. And I also take this opportunity to thank CA Kemsha Soni madam, CV Chitle sir, CA Shweta Jain ma'am, CA Sharad Vaze sir, CA Chintan Patel sir for taking out their time and putting light on this topic. Thank you, everyone. And thanks
Thank
a
you
lot
very
to
much.
participants as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Thanks.